Micah Parsons wants out of Dallas, and his clear loyalty to Dan Quinn immediately makes the Commanders the most logical and intriguing destination for Micah Parsons to want to go. That and more right now on Locked On Commanders.
You are Locked On Commanders, your daily podcast on the Washington Commanders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
This is Locked On Commanders. I'm David Harrison, your guy on the ground covering the Washington Commanders for WUSA 9, and I'm here with you 5 days a week, plus sometimes the occasional bonus episode or 2 bonus episodes. We had a bonus episode when Terry requested his trade, and now we're going to do a bonus episode because Micah Parsons also requesting a trade. You can also find me writing about the Commanders on Sports Illustrated's CommanderGameDay.com. Follow me on X at DHarrison82. Thank you for making Locked On Commanders your first listen or view, and a special thank you goes out to all the everydayers who do so every single day. If you haven't already, please make sure you subscribe for free on YouTube or wherever you are listening to today's episode. If this is your first time through, thank you for coming through. Hopefully you like it. Hopefully you enjoy it enough and you come back again and join us real soon. Coming up on today's bonus episode, a true bonus episode, 2 segments. We're going to talk about the RFK Stadium bill getting passed by the city, by the DC City Council on Friday. And we're going to start it all off with Micah Parsons requesting a trade and why the Washington Commanders are the best spot for Micah Parsons to land, even if it's not very likely that he's going to. All of that coming up next on today's episode of Locked On Commanders, a proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We are starting with the bombshell news out of Dallas on Friday. Micah Parsons heading to social media to formally announce that he has formally requested a trade to Stephen Jones of the Dallas Cowboys. And this creates a dream scenario for Washington Commanders fans who are very, very well versed in his loyalty to head coach Dan Quinn of the Washington Commanders. But before I get into all of my thoughts, let's hear real quick from Landon McCool of Locked On Cowboys.
The Micah Parsons contract drama has taken a new step. Hi, I'm Landon McCool with the Locked On Cowboys podcast, and despite everyone trying their best to try to talk about football, contract stuff still kind of crops up. And a big new bombshell has been dropped as Micah Parsons has officially requested a trade from the Dallas Cowboys. I have doubts that we've seen our last snaps with Micah Parsons as a Dallas Cowboy. This seems like another acceleration in kind of the war of words that these two sides are having. But there's also a lot of love between these two groups. And despite some of the things that were said by Micah on Twitter, I still feel like a deal that is mostly being argued over the length of time is probably going to get done at the end of the day. But for more on this, make sure you check us out on the Locked On Cowboys podcast. And for more on your team, make sure you check out the other teams on the Locked On Podcast Network.
All right. So what a crazy 24-hour period it has been for the NFC East. First, Terry McLaurin requesting a trade from the Washington Commanders, and then Micah Parsons requesting a trade from the Dallas Cowboys. I saw one reporter say they got a text from an NFC East executive who said they're genuinely enjoying all of the chaos going on with the teams around the division. I'm pretty sure that probably came from Howie Roseman of the Philadelphia Eagles, who made it very clear, we're going to draft our defense, we're going to pay our offense, and only rarely are we going to pay our defensive players. And it kind of sets clear boundaries, clear expectations for every player on the roster that unless we think you're incredibly special, we're not going to pay you and you're just going to come and go about your way. So going back to this one, though, looking at Micah Parsons. So, we'll get to whether or not, what are the chances that Micah could come to Washington via a trade and all that stuff. You heard Landon there say that he doesn't really think that this deal isn't going to get done. We've said the same thing about Terry McLaurin, but if the door is cracked even just a little bit, would be a little bit remiss to not at least dive into the conversation. And again, it's a bonus episode, so let's have a little bit of fun with this. Let's play the what if game just a little bit. Micah Parsons right now scheduled to play on the final year of his rookie deal. It is his 5th year option, which is why the timing on this is critical. Very rarely do players like playing on 1-year contracts. Basically, the last year of their deal is a 1-year contract. Terry McLaurin's in the same situation. He's looking for a new deal, but he's also looking for a record-setting deal, right? Spotrac's current market value projection for Micah Parsons, $35 million per year, which would fall short of being the highest paid edge defender in the National Football League, which currently is $41 million per year. So you assume he's at least going to want $41 million per year. Honestly, probably going to be coming out looking for like 45 per year, because at 45 per year, you still probably got a couple of seasons before that deal is outside the top 5 in your position group. And that's a thing that players are concerned with about. So what is going on with him and with Dallas, right? So obviously there's a financial context to this, but his public statement on X, formerly Twitter, kind of added a little bit of seasoning or perspective to what's going on with the Cowboys and their star. And Micah basically says the negotiations have stalled and that there's been unfair media narratives spread about him and unfair things said to the media that the media has then spread about him. And you heard Landon kind of reference some of those things, war of words and all this other stuff. And Micah said that, at the scouting combine, he told his agent, well, actually, if we go back to last offseason following his 3rd season in the NFL, he told his agent to tell the Cowboys he wanted to sit down and negotiate an extension. They said, thanks, but no thanks. We're not going to do that right now. So then after last year, his 4th year, before the 5th year option kicked in, he went ahead and said, hey, let's talk again. And basically the Cowboys said, yeah, we've got the deal ready. Here's the deal. This is what you're going to take. And they said, well, no, that's not what we're going to take. Thanks. And since then, the Dallas Cowboys have essentially gone radio silent on him, leading to this situation. So why would the Washington Commanders want to make this deal? Why would they want to pay this man, knowing that he's looking for record-setting money? Well, he's a multi-time first-time All-Pro, just 26 years old, top 3 finalists for Defensive Player of the Year nearly every season of his career so far. Since he entered the league 4 seasons ago, about to be his 5th season this year, he ranks 5th in the league with 52.5 sacks. More importantly, he's an absolute pressure machine. He's credited right now with 330 total pressures, according to True Media, and has an elite pressure rate of over 20%. That means once every 5 passes, he is at least pressuring the quarterback, if not getting to him. That is absolutely insane production and impact. And then, of course, you have Dan Quinn, right? The obvious connection here is head coach Dan Quinn. During FanFest in June of this year, by the way, this isn't like an old quote. This is this year. Kevin Durant was talking with Kay Adams, and Kay said, hey, do you want Micah Parsons standing right there? Do you want to recruit him to the Commanders? Kevin Durant, if you don't know, from Washington, D.C., he is a Washington football fan. And Kevin Durant, frankly, said, I think Micah Parsons is going to play for Washington. I think it's probably going to happen in about 2 years. Micah came over and said, quote, yo, I only rock with Dan Quinn. You know what I mean? End quote. So, I mean, again, the loyalty is there. We've heard Dan Quinn talk about talking with Micah constantly and just how much he has love for the player. Joe Witt Jr. talked about using Frankie Louvu in that Micah-like role. Offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury called Micah Parsons a game wrecker. Jaden Daniels called him a game changer, like all kinds of stuff in this thing. So the big picture, I mean, look, if the Washington Commanders were to find a way to trade for Micah Parsons, give him the deal that he wants, and then you bring him onto your roster, I mean, you're absolutely elevating your roster to a whole new level. And I think not only are you closing the gap with the Philadelphia Eagles, I think you might have actually shut that thing, because you put Micah Parsons on a team that's got Von Miller on the other side, Frankie Louvu and Bobby Wagner in the linebacker group, with what is looking like an improved defensive line, a pretty decent secondary, if not, better than decent secondary, and an offense that even without Terry McLaurin right now is still looking pretty good in training camp. You do all this and you can get the training camp, the Terry McLaurin deal done. I mean, guys, it's pretty good road to the Super Bowl from there if you can keep everybody healthy. So is it going to happen? Look, Dallas would be absolutely insane to trade a player to their biggest rival, right? But we've seen insane deals happen before. The Dallas Cowboys are just insane to do that kind of deal. It would cost the Washington Commanders a whole lot of draft capital, but you kind of look at it and like you're kind of getting to the F them picks category that the Rams were in a few years back. Like, look, I mean, if it's going to cost you a couple of ones and some other picks and all this other stuff to go get Micah Parsons, yeah, you might do it. And then you know what? Like 2 years from now, when you don't have a first round pick, you look back at that shiny Lombardi with your franchise quarterback and Micah Parsons on the defense. And you kind of say, yeah, it was worth it. You know what I mean? It was worth it. So again, a lot to say here. Cowboys don't think that he's going anywhere. The Commanders don't think Terry McLaurin's going anywhere, but still fodder to talk about here on the weekend. A little bit of a fun bonus episode. From the superstar pipe dream to concrete reality, the Commanders' long-term future took a significant step forward this week in the city council's vote on a new stadium at the RFK Stadium site. That's coming up next on today's episode of Locked On Commanders, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And this bonus episode of Locked On Commanders is brought to you by Monarch Money. If you ever wished managing your money felt easier with Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. We were just talking about the massive number in Micah Parsons' potential contract, tens of millions of dollars. It's a huge figure, but you know what can also be shocking? Seeing how your own small purchases add up over the course of a month. When I first started using Monarch Money, some of those small purchases that I thought was making were mounting up to a lot of big numbers. Once you put it all together, it was genuinely shocking to see some of the things I was blowing money on. So seeing it all in one place was a wake-up call that I needed. If you need it, you can take that information and make a real plan for your finances. Monarch Money is more than a budgeting app. It is a complete financial command center. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNFL for half off your first year. Today's episode is also brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Time to fuel up and turn it up with 5 Hour Energy Transfusion. It brings the bold grape, ginger, and lime flavor of your favorite golf drink minus the alcohol into a quick, energizing shot. Whether you're sinking birdies or just making memories with friends, this one's a hole-in-one for your energy game. And let's be honest, some days on the course or off the course, you just need that extra boost to stay sharp and energized. I remember playing around, and we had a ridiculous bet going on the longest drive, right? Of course, my drive slices, and it lands way off of where I wanted it to. And instead of just taking my losses, I had to argue and try, oh, no, the sun was in my eyes. And you know, nobody saw through it. But golf is all about good times with good people, right? And it was fun, a lot of good flavors. Of course, the grape, ginger, lime flavor gives you the best parts of your clubhouse go to without chasing down the beverage cart. So if you go to 5hourenergy.com today, that's the number 5hourenergy.com. You can use the promo code LOCKEDONGolf to receive 20% off your order. This offer is only valid until September 30th on one order, cannot be used with other promotions. The code is not good on subscription orders. Whether you're meeting up with friends or trying to turn 18 holes into 36, get the energizing boost you need to power through. Order transfusion flavored 5 Hour Energy shots today. While dreaming of superstars coming to your favorite team is a lot of fun, the team took a much more concrete way or step towards securing its future on Friday. They did it in D.C. with the city council voting and approving the new stadium project at the RFK site. Big news to step forward in the stadium site plan. The DC Council has voted 9-3 in favor of the Commanders in DC Revitalization and Events Campus Act of 2024. Again, a strong, not unanimous, but strong support from the council. I spoke to somebody from Mayor Bowser's office on Friday night, and they were very celebratory, very much appreciative of everything that was going on, and very happy with the results. But it is just the first of 2 required votes. The second and final vote is scheduled for September. Mostly, look, I'm not a politics guy, okay, but I have reached out to some people who are politics people. I plan to talk to Eric Flack of WUSA 9 extensively over the coming days, and you should read a lot of the work that he's doing and watch a lot of the work that he's doing. He is WUSA 9's stadium guy, so to speak. Does a lot more than that too, but he's definitely the go-to guy at WUSA 9 for stadium news. He's who I learn a lot of my stuff from. More of a formality than anything, not really something that people are too worried about, which if you saw Josh Harris's statement, which I shared on X, if you follow me there, or if you saw Mayor Bowser's statement on X, which I reshared, she shared it herself on X, you kind of get the vibe, right? Like this is the big hurdle. So what does the bill actually do? Well, the bill creates DC Stadium Authority to manage the 190-acre site. It authorizes the 99-year lease for the purpose of building a new stadium and multi-use development. And again, from Mayor Bowser's statement following the vote, she emphasized the city's readiness for this project, saying, quote, "We are ready to work with the federal government to bring this 190-acre site back to productive use for the benefit of our city and region," end quote. Josh Harris, from his statement, also expressed his optimism, or their optimism, said, quote, "We are excited for what this historic partnership could mean for the future of our franchise and the district," end quote. So what's next? 9-3 vote, again, shows a very strong support from the council on the plan. There are some concerns still, some environmental concerns, corporate giveaway type of language is happening, things like that. So is it over? No, it's not over. But again, this is just by and large viewed as the biggest hurdle, the immediate hurdle, the next 50-meter target, if you will be the final vote in September. After that, the focus shifts entirely to the federal government, and the bill's passage is DC's way of showing Congress it has a concrete plan. hoping to convince them to transfer or sell the federally owned land back to the district once it gets to their level. And of course, once it gets to their level, we will possibly have some other things we have to talk about. But for now, we're going to leave it right there. Good vibes only on this Friday evening bonus episode into Saturday morning, into the weekend. We got another practice coming up, training camp practice on Saturday, another off day on Sunday, back at practice Monday, and then on Tuesday, we are headed to Boston. That's going to do it for today's episode. We will have more practice observations for you next time. In the meantime, if you've got questions or comments, all you got to do is text them to me by becoming a Locked On Commanders insider. Go to joinsubtext.com/LockedOnCommanders. And once you do, you're going to text me your thoughts, your questions, your ideas, but you're also going to get a lot of updates like the stadium news stuff, Micah Parsons, Terry McLaurin, and so much more straight to your phone. No tags, no hashtags, no lists, no apps. Nothing. For your second listen, check out Locked On Bets. Betting experts Lee Sterling and Kevin Rogers give you daily Major League Baseball locks and can't miss football futures. Find Locked On Bets on YouTube or wherever you're listening to this podcast. To the everydayers, once again, I see you every day. I appreciate you every day, and I thank you for coming through today. Until next time, stay safe, be kind to one another. We'll talk again real soon right here on Locked On Commanders, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.